Okay. All right. So let me explain further about few things. Okay. The first thing is about on the menu you have on the page 3. On the page 3, it's about the balance 5 faculties. Okay. Now, it is always believed that someone who are really like a Buddha, for example, who are fully enlightened, or even just like Arahant who have get enlightenment, so they must be able to know how to possess of 37 kinds of items. But depends how you translate. You could say 37 kinds of Dharma, or 37 kinds of items, or 37 kinds of things. Okay. Now, if you are learning the Samadhi, not only just Samadhi, but especially when you're learning concentration. Now, sometimes you are doing meditation very well, and then you can observe the touching point very well, and then your mind is really focused. In other words, you might be observing your breath, or maybe you are able to place your mind on the nimitta. I'm sure now you know what I'm talking about, the nimitta and so forth. You could do that. But somehow, even though you are meditating quite well, like relatively compared to when you just start to learn meditation, but your mind sometimes still drifting a little bit, right? I'm sure people have the experience, they know. Your mind still drifting around a little bit. And even though you're quite sure what you're doing, but somehow you feel something is lacking, actually. The first thing lacking is that what the Buddhism thing is, you're having a confidence about yourself, or having a confidence about understanding the method itself, or Chinese call 就是对这个法门没信心，信心还不够深。So that's why you need to develop these 5 faculties. It's kind of like you have a good company, and then you have 5 departments. Each department really cooperate with you. But of course, then you must also learn how to bring this department together and to form a very strong team. Okay, that's why we translate it as a faculty. But in Chinese, usually understood as that, because the literal translation from the Sanskrit or Pali, Indriya, it means a kind of 5. Actually, you could say the 5. Usually, they translate 5 root. But I mostly understand Indriya more like you have 5 branches, or kind of 5 important nerve systems, something like that, you know. Then somehow you don't want to, you have these 5 important nerves. If you lack one of the nerve, you are just something wrong. You know what I mean? So that's why these 5 nerves has to be stay together so that you become like a well-functioned kind of being, or well-functioned kind of thing. Okay. The first one is the confident. Please just read a little bit what does confident mean. Okay. So in believing that the practice this system will gain samadhi, at least when you're practicing samadhi, this is how you need to build up confidence. The second is energy. What does energy mean? Is exerting your spirit. In other words, exerting your energy to focus on the meditative object. You know, kind of like anyway you want to work and work on and work on and work on. You don't feel tired. You don't like tirelessly. You're just working on it. Okay. The third one is mindfulness. Keep alert on visions to fasten your mind into the meditative object without losing it. Kind of like you can place your mind. If you are on the spot, then you place your mind on the spot. If you're on the nimitta, then you can place your mind on the nimitta, like that. So this is what we call the mindfulness. That even though you lose that mindfulness, you always can able to just very easily or naturally put back your mind on the object, the meditative object. Okay. Now, what is the concentration? So stay attentively intent on the breath or nimitta without distraction. In other words, mean you are placing your mind on the object of meditation, but you are able to concentrate. What does the concentration mean? that without distraction. Okay. The last one is understanding. Basically, you could say wisdom. It means that clearly know your in-breath and out-breath, or the nimitta, or maybe best to say that here, you clearly know just your nimitta as the one, or the meditated objects as the one, and then you still keep knowing you still have in-breath and out-breath. Okay. In other words, mean what does it do? No. So when your mind focuses so well, your physical body is almost not there, but you're just focusing. It's completely just mental, focusing on the object. Then if somehow you feel, sometimes you're doing quite okay, sometimes no. You know why? Because sometimes you feel a little tired. Sometimes you lost a little faith. For example, when I say loss of faith, like, when I just start to talk about that, maybe you have that experience, you have much more faith. You think, this is what it is, right? You work better. And after some time, because not that you don't have the faith, it's not enough. You just like, okay, whatever, something like that, you know. That's why your meditation, you're doing okay, but why you couldn't be able to be have a better meditation is because this 5 faculty is lost. Okay, just like you lost one nerve. Normally, when you don't have the faith about yourself and about the teaching, that means the method. I don't mean teaching me. The teaching means this method, right? When you lost the faith on that, then you start become less energetical, right? When you start become less energetical, and then your mindfulness is not very strong. And then sometimes you easily get distracted. That means your concentration become less strong. And then the understanding means the wisdom that knowing what you're right, do it there right now is not that clear. Get it now, right? Okay, so what does it mean? It means, that's why the Buddha always say, you must always remember the Dhamma. The Dhamma here refers to these items. You have to always remember these items, and then when you are meditating, if anyone had the wisdom, they would know, okay, I'm lacking of something now. And bring these 5 items to you. Then you will find, oh, it's different. It's a kind of like if you imagine the mind, what to say? The mind is a kind of, it's a very subtle thing, but the mind, people think mind is just like a unique. Actually, mind is not a unique. Mind is better to understand as a kind of functional thing. But then the functional thing, actually, they have few other functions which is helpful for your let's say for your meditation, your meditation subject, or focus on meditation subjects. So you need to able to, kind of like you have many switch, right? You need to always remember switch this on. Otherwise, you're not functioning well with the kind of, that the mind cannot function well. So this is what we call the Dhamma. You have to bring the Dhamma in, and you need to remember whether I have this Wu Gen, Wu Li in Chinese. First, first you must have the faculty first. And then you will develop the Wu Li, the 5 power. I forget the 5 power so far, because this is for beginning. You just only have to learn. Very quickly you check, do I have a confidence? Do I have this energy? Do I have, for example, mindfulness? Because I use Chinese, it's 心情念定慧 anyway. You have to use your language, okay? If you use pali. But you have to know the meaning. Do I have these 5? Then you need to check it. And then if you don't have, you need to bring it up. When you bring that up, you'll find you're doing better. But I'm sure maybe you don't believe in me now. It's not about believing me. Just learn it and see whether it's it. Okay? You need to bring that 5. That's the reason why you have to learn 37道品里面，就是先要学到无根嘛。So 尤其在学定好，so that's why then you need to bring that 5. And while you are, I'm not talking about when you're doing counting and doing that. We are talking about only mental. Either you're focused on a point, or either it's a focus on a nimitta. So you need to bring this 5 Dhamma with you. Okay, carry with you. Okay. This is one. After that. Then another thing is that even though sometimes you bring the 5 to you, still not working. Now I'm addressing this not like these few days you meditate. But imagine that you're doing meditation like your whole life, for 1 month, or 2 months, or 3 months. At times you have so difficulty because you have to talk to people, you have to encounter with, lots of different kind of people. So you may have a lust comes to you, maybe sometimes you have anger comes to you, maybe you have like a lots of distraction because you worry so much thing, right? This is the reason why I put it the next one here on the number 5. That's called 8 ways of coping obstacle for mindfulness of breathing. So now, even if you are practicing the mindfulness of breathing, about a breath meditation, up to this stage of fixing state, up to the fixing state. But when this sense desire comes to you, let's say you are sitting, meditating, and then you start to think about sex, start to think about something. Anyway, you saw a handsome guy, beautiful girl, and then it's still very hard to put that away. Don't you have this experience? No. Or are you like a Buddha, okay? I know, I mean, medicine is really down to earth, frankly. So down to earth, frankly, that comes to you, and then you need to, some people think, oh, it's wonderful, why don't I just keep on thinking? At least I need to tell you, no, don't do that, okay? You will be in trouble. And so don't build up this good habit. So you need to learn to put that away. So here I just simply say, if that comes to you, you need to know that, no, this is not what I want. I just put it aside, okay? Or what may be best to put it this way. If you even want to think about it after your meditation, okay? Don't mix it up, okay, please, okay? But actually, there's another way to do that. I didn't put it here. It's even though if that is become very strong and so forth, then you start to think, you know. You start to think, you know, yeah, that's beautiful. But imagine, look at his inside body. Is that beautiful? You get what I mean? So under the skin, you could see there's a heart. Heart is fine. Maybe it's beautiful, the heart. But intestine, yeek. How about you have a lot of what they call, yeah, I mean, there are different kind of mucus. Imagine the saliva. Do you like it, saliva? Maybe yes, you like saliva. But I'm sure not, the snot, definitely you don't like it. Snot, right? And all sort of things. When you think, oh, it's a beautiful girl, but lots of slot inside. And then it's very efficient, because especially when you're doing meditation, it will just go away. Okay? But that's to remember, because I'm teaching only meditation. I don't care if I'm meditating what you are doing. It's not my business, okay? I'm just saying when you meditate, that you know that when that's come, just like I'm teaching a class, right? I want you to focus on the class. After your class, you're a bad boy, you're a gangster, it's not my business, you know what I'm saying? But now, in the meditation, when that comes, you really need to abandon. Don't build up the bad habit and sit there and start to think, oh, I can see her more clearly. Wonderful meditation. I like breath meditation now. Please don't do that, okay? Okay, okay. If you really do that, don't say that's, I taught that, I didn't teach it. I'm sure I didn't. Okay. The second, the anger comes also. When the anger comes, sometimes you do, you know, let's say you meditate and somehow you were doing all right. Unfortunately, someone are really, maybe you know you have different kind of people here. Some people maybe just can be like, his action, not necessarily the bad person, just his action is very quick. Maybe they are hurry in doing something, they bump into you, and they forget to say sorry, and you get angry, right? Don't be surprised. A lot of meditation centers like that, those things happen, and they get angry. They don't want to come here anymore, you know. So when that comes to you, you must understand. You sit, and that might be your mind still cannot give up to thinking about that kind of event. So what you have to do, then you should do the loving kindness meditation if you learned that before, okay? But even you don't know what is loving kindness meditation, because it definitely will help you to put away your anger directly, and then you back to your mindfulness of breathing. But if you don't know how to do that, but at least think something nice, like, you know, I have a good time, not now maybe, but I have a good time some other days. Or maybe, and then you could just think something like, oh, you know, I went in the beach, but not seeing a naked woman, but just in the beach. Wonderful time, right? And then you just feel nice, okay, and then you forget about that. Then you ease it back. In other words, you should know if you're anger, you have a displeasure sensation comes to you, like not happy about something. Don't lie to yourself. You know what I'm saying? In meditation is really down to earth, you know, frankly. Understand, I have anger. See, how can I get rid of it, you know? So think something nice, okay? If you don't know how to do loving kindness meditation, think something nice. To put that away and then back to your meditation, okay? The third one, the drowsiness. Somebody do have the drowsiness. Maybe when you first time do meditation, you don't have a drowsiness. Especially after when you go back home, every time when you do meditation, you become a habit. Every time you sit, why you want to sit? Because you feel tired, you knew meditation is good for you. And then you see you always sleep. Every time you sleep, you sit and sleep. This is one reason. And then you slowly build up a kind of habit. Just like somebody told me yesterday, they said, even though I don't have those experiences, they say, if they couldn't sleep, they do counting, 1, 2, 3. So that's why for them to count the breath, it's like counting the sheep, you know. 1, 2, 3, then they fall asleep. I don't know, I don't have that experience. Or maybe it's true, it's a culturally different. Could be in India, we don't have that kind of culture. I mean, in India, they don't have this kind of culture. Maybe they believe that when you count the breath, you're supposed to be more alert. But it could be not so. For some people, when they were kids, they were teach to count the sheep, you know, 1 sheep jumping, 2 sheep jumping, 3 sheep jumping, and they fall asleep. So some they say when they count, they fall asleep. Then I say, okay, I don't know, because that's definitely, I can understand, you know, how the mind works. So, and then that's why maybe that person shouldn't do counting. Or maybe they have a chance other way to count, maybe like, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8, I don't know. But anyway, you know what I mean? So, you know, the purpose of counting is just to at least to counteract with your thought.
Is that 1 sheep, 1 count, or 2 sheep?
Definitely 1 sheep, 1 count, okay. You know what? You know, I sometimes I consider, I remember there was a time, and then I thought I should do that because I never learned this, because in my culture we never learn if you cannot say you count a sheep, right? So I saw the book because I read book, you know, like a kid's book or whatever, and I tried, and I couldn't sleep. I count 100, 200, 300, it won't learn. So anyway, I somehow believe that's something to do with culture too. Okay, so whatever, but you might be facing this drowsiness. What you have to do, okay, if you face a drowsiness, this is actually usually when you can do this part, mean your meditation, at least you have developed some skill meditation already. In other words, if that drowsiness comes to you, I'm sure now this is a time I ask you to look at the light, okay? Before I say, don't look at the light is there, you don't have to look, just like the light is there, you don't look like that. Oh, very bright, you know, don't. But when you feel drowsiness comes to you, then you really, even you're focusing in the front, maybe or focusing on your breath, at that time, look at the light, get it now? And when you look at the light, usually your mind would, if you're strong, you say brighter, it becomes brighter. Brighter, it becomes brighter. It can be very, very bright, okay? So that, in other words, that's the reason that this is traditional also, saying that if the drowsiness really comes to you, and then one of the way to put off your drowsiness and sleepiness is light, 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 light. Look at the light, okay? Yes.
So if you don't see any light, do you sort of plan summit?
If you don't see any light, so thanks for asking that question. But if you don't see any light, what you do is that then you start to open. That's the reason why sometimes we open our eyes also a little bit. We don't open the eye like that, okay? We just open the eye a little bit. So when you open the eye a little bit, that's to keep you alert. How to keep you alert is when you open the eye a little bit, you start to feel the light come in the eye iris. So this is how you're not looking at a thing. You know, just like, you know, imagine we have so many things here, right? But I still can. But you need to learn first. Like there's so many people around who are sitting here, maybe have many papers, bag, and water, whatever. But you know, your intentionally is not look at those things, but just observe the light. Get it now? So when you open the little eye, just observe the light in. Then that's how it keep you alert. Okay. That's the fourth one about when you feel the drowsiness comes to you. Now, usually this kind of thing you don't start. If you just start to learn meditation, don't do this thing now, because then you have too much attention. You have to pay too much different attention to many things. Then you feel very difficult. Get it now? We usually only instruct this when you are quite all right already. Then you knew, now I have particular that problem. Then you will take care of it if you can. Okay. So the light is like that. Number 4 is that? Number 4, yeah. Sorry, the third one. Number 4 one. If feeling agitated, when I say agitated, usually mean your mind running and running and running and running and running like a monkey, you know, jumping one kind of what to call
Vine.
Oh, the vine, yeah. You're holding one vine and then to change to another vine. That's how we describe our mind like monkey. If that become that way, you just have to actually just keep alert. I guess that will help you. Alert that now I'm doing counting, for example, you must be alert that you know you're doing counting with the foreign breath. Or if you still have the focus, you have to be more alert on the focus point. Okay. Even that's the same thing if you have a very subtle kind of while you're observing the limitar. Usually while you're observing the limitar, generally speaking, mean this kind of agitation is small, like one, but then you just have to be more aware of the limitar. Then you'll find you can subdue of it. Okay, just remember this. Whatever I put it here is helpful for your future when you get home and practice and so forth. Okay. And number 5, what if the doubt arises? You know, arise without knowing the reason. If doubt arises without knowing the reason, be certain of what you are doing will make you become more confident. In other words, you just have doubt. You know, some people have no reason. Actually, there's a reason, but just don't know the reason. You know, maybe the way that your childhood is always like that. So you always build up that. Or maybe people always have a kind of critical thinking, too strong, you know, and so forth. When that kind of doubts come to you, what you need to go through is that you just have to make sure you have go on the first step to the second step to the third step to the fourth step to there. Then you're certain, at least I'm here. It shouldn't be a big problem. Then the doubt will eliminate it. So by that, okay. Okay. But those are but ignorance still persists. Knowledge and wisdom can be a help. Ignorance would refer to what? You know, there are people always like, you know, kind of like, do what I'm doing. I mean, they still have this kind of people still, what I'm doing. Even though I told them many times, this is what you're doing. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, what I'm doing, you know. Kind of this happen into you. But unfortunately, there's no way. Only thing, just do it. And to basically mean, that's why I say knowledge and wisdom mean, you must know your problem, basically. Then only you need to build up the knowledge. Actually, in Buddhism, when I say knowledge here, refer to you need to build up the experience. And then you have to build up the experience and we give you understand what they are. That's called wisdom. So you just have to build up that. I mean, if you're practicing the mindfulness of breathing. You know, actually, when you practice the mindfulness of breathing, in another system which we haven't teach, I mean, I don't want to teach, that's too complicated. But like there are some meditation, you have to really able to observe the in-breath as one, out-breath as one, right? And then there's a long breath, there's a short breath. And then we count in-breath 1, in-out breath 1, in short breath 2, out breath 1. And that was mean we double it. There's a 32 steps you need to go through. And in the 32 steps, every step you will build up a certain kind of knowledge. In Pali it's called jnana, or in Sanskrit it's jnana, okay? But this kind of jnana, so this kind of understanding, it means actually the knowledge means you understand, you experience it. And if you follow that system, you need to count how many knowledge you build up. Okay. I know it's very hard to me. Okay, explain one is easier to you. For example, you build up, you know long breath very well, right? Either it's in breath, you know there's a long breath. Either it's exhalation, the long breath taking place. That means you build up two knowledge, right? Okay? So this is what we call the knowledge. So in other words, if people tell you the long breath, you know, yes, I know long breath. Short breath, yes, I know short breath. Whole breath, yes, I know whole breath, right? Because you have this knowledge to you through your experience, okay? And of course, the collection of the experience or collection of the knowledge, and it become a wisdom. Then you under the whole thing about what is meant by the breath, okay? The breath doesn't, to Buddhism, doesn't mean the breath mean just like that, okay? The breath can be many, many ways. So that depends how many knowledge you build it up, okay? No, I mean, okay, I shouldn't explain that too further, but here just say ignorance, if the people are, if ignorance still persists, it could be sometimes, because, you know, at time, remember the knowledge will help you. So in other words, I mean, you need to just keep on having experience. The experience will help you to slowly build up your wisdom. That's why it will solve the problem itself, okay? What about boredom? I mean, this happened too. If boredom comes by, apply your alerts or be more vigilant at a meditative object in different phases of practice, okay? Well, this is, I put it here because, I mean, it definitely during the Buddha's time, at least in the Buddhist text, we don't have actually we don't have the word called boredom also. Kind of like, it just only feel, there's a word for, direct word for close to the boredom. Boresome is maybe just like less energetic. But I'm sure now this is a big thing. Some people do it. Some people tell me, they say, oh, you know, I have a limiter, so what? Boring. You know, yeah, many people tell me that. And I told them, I mean, this is also a big problem with Buddhism sometimes. You know why they feel boring? Because they always read so many different things. They always think, this is not what I want, right? I want higher. So that's why this is boring. This is very clear. I'm not saying this, please do not take it like I'm saying anyone. I even said to myself, I have the same experience. Please believe me, I learned from a Mahayana tradition first. Whatever people thinking, I somehow know. At least I'm sure about what I'm thinking, okay? I don't want to talk about other. And this kind of, about boredom, I also have the same experience. You know, and I knew later on why I have this boredom. Because this is not Nibbana. So boring, and what I'm doing here, like, you know, because they don't know how to appreciate. The problem is, I give you one example. Of course, that time I just knew this is just my problem. Okay, fine, this is not my problem. But unfortunately, and I saw, and at least my experience tell me that I knew my friends who are meditating, they have jhana, supposedly, okay, they have jhana, or they are at least into jhana. And once they have that jhana, or they have this kind of thing, and then they become really a different kind of person in a way. In a way, I was just like, they start to feel bored. Because they think, oh, actually this is not, as a monk or what, or nun, this is not enough to attract people. Because it looks like, oh, I have jhana. At first you felt very proud because I've jhana. Now, oh, actually you also have? So it's like, it's nothing, right? And that's why I must have something higher than this. Of course, the one that you must have is, anyway, whatever, sainthood become this. So, and then they really think this is boring. And what happened? That's fine. The problem is, when you have jhana usually, your mind is calm, you put away your anger, because if the anger would not arise, okay? If you're in a jhana, for example, let's say you're in the first jhana, you can think the one they hate the most, it doesn't arise. Try it when you're there. Let's say someone I hate the most. Usually when I think about it, I feel uneasy. Everything, all my nerves started to like aching, you know, like crying. Then my nerves become crying. But when you think about that time, I try to think the one I hate the most, it drops. No, think about it. it drops. You cannot think it. Your mind, when you're in a jhana, even in the first jhana, when you want to think that the one that you hate, it just drops. Even though you strongly think, and it come up and it drops. This is why in the jhana, you can test yourself. One way of easy testing about your jhana, because anger is much easier to test, there are many things to test. Think about sex too, it drops. It doesn't come up. You try to think about whatever thing usually will arouse you a lot, it just drops. It comes up and drops, it comes up and drops. So imagine that if you are having this kind of experience, what you're supposed to be. I mean, when you're supposed to be, at least you are not easily get angry. At least right after meditation, right? Maybe after, just like, at least right after meditation, you don't get angry that easy. Even people scolding you, okay, normally maybe get, what are you talking? So you don't. Now, the thing is important, I want to say, but when the people don't know how to appreciate it, and they start to think the idea they were bored, and they have this kind of interpretation is very dangerous to me. It's very dangerous that they don't know the jhana actually have this kind of helpful thing, even they can have it. And the second, because they don't appreciate it, they don't something even further, the craving on that is so strong. And this kind of thing, they kind of like law, but even though I have to do it because teacher asked me to do whatever. So what happened is that they have a kind of different personality. Mean, you will be surprised by why these people practice jhana, supposedly as nice, but they are very bad. But they are not happy. Okay, I know that you may not believe me. Just keep that in mind. You be your own judge and see in the future. Don't judge others, judge yourself, see. So, but on the contrary, if you meet this Indian sadhu, Indian sadhu means the Indian practitioner, because they believe when they have a jhana mean very powerful, wonderful, the most beautiful thing in the earth, right? That's how Indian thinking the jhana. Oh, I hear when I was in England, when the people know that I was giving some teaching, and those days I don't like to give tips, but I did, by force, people forced me to teach. Then I say about something about jhana. So somehow people tell people, this monk actually he teach jhana. So the Indian guy, look for me. Oh, you also know jhana. We also taught jhana. So then that's why I have a lot of conversation with them. Yeah, the Indian is like that. They think once you have jhana, you have everything. Wonderful, powerful, beautiful, right? In Buddhism, we don't describe that way. Oh, you have jhana, it's beautiful, right? So of course everybody like beautiful. Because somebody tell you it's beautiful and it's a God, and the God is with you all the time. So your life is completely safe. And not only that, you've been blessed, you must have a good karma, otherwise blah, 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 okay? And that's why for them, because they have this kind of understanding, they always kind of is indirectly, actually you could say, not that they have the same thing, like a jhana, but they know how to use that in their life. They start to say, you don't want, sometimes we must learn something from them. I want to say something from them. I believe the Buddha time is the same thing, okay? Because that's how the Buddha's time culture is. They always appreciate it, that moment, because that moment is always wonderful. And that moment, actually, wonderfulness gives you to see how this wonderful, you can apply that in the life. Even though we might understand it differently, not talking about because of God bless or what, but at the least that kind of wonderful is there, I want to say that. And on the contrary, some people telling you, that is not good, you have attachment, you attach that, it's very dangerous, and it's not high enough. So your mind always, not good enough, that, So, I know, I'm just telling you my experience, okay? And in those I also thought, okay, so what? And either, but it's kind of like never really cherish what you have, okay? Get it now? You must, I'm saying this just give warning. Please keep that in mind and see by yourself, okay? Which will get good for you, also good for your practice or good for your personality even, okay, and so forth, okay? And then this is, why I talk about jhana? I don't know. Oh, boring. So because of that understanding, you definitely don't think about boring. For them, there's the boring and the jhana have never from Hindu connect together, never. Because jhana is always please, happy, joy. No, never. Why I want to say this? I definitely encourage you. They're one of the movies that actually, not necessarily because the movie give me what, but the movie give me teach me how to say something. There's one movie called The Great Debater, I think it's called. I definitely need to, I don't have the movie with me, but I definitely think that movie, there's one word I remember, because it's talking about, I think maybe in the school in DC, right? It's the school that only black people usually go to study. And in those days, it's based on history fact. So they were doing the debate, you know. And then at the end, they would be invited, because nobody thought that school would go for the debate to the Harvard University. At the end, they went to Harvard to do debate, and they win. I remember that time that they have a word, the teacher told them, you know, sometime, you know, because they were kind of like, when they saw on the way some like African American being, you know, hanged to death and so forth, they were scared. They don't know what's the value. They were having a debate. And the teacher told them one word, which actually touched me also, and I find it's true. I kind of know that, but it's just like when he said it, then I definitely think, yeah, that's true. He say, you know, somehow something like, you know, this is my understanding, I may be wrong, okay? So it's saying the language is very powerful. So basically, the way he say that, he want to say, you want to tell the one thing to other people, but if you know how to use a language, then you can win over his trust to you. This is the power. So why am I to mention this? It's the same thing. You may be having the same jhana, okay? But how you address this jhana is very different. It's based on your language, right? I think that's how the Buddha thing told. So that's why there was a time, and somebody asked the Buddha, you know, is it having a jhana is half necessary? But actually the Buddha say, no, having a jhana is crucially necessary. And because having a jhana, you always is in a good mind, okay? So, I mean, language, if I don't say that, it may be yes and no, right? That language is very, and that, I want to say that now that that's one reason why I say, you know, in India naturally, generally, believe the jhana is really something really, you know, very unique, you know. Even though in Buddhism technically you could say there's a higher thing than that, but still, you know, that's the reason why Buddhism sometimes take that as a like, okay, without it, fine, you have it, but still they have it, and then they kind of like not happy about it. And their personality is kind of strange later on. You know? If you are in that environment, you know what I'm talking about, it's fine. One day you may encounter these people, then you somehow may understand, yeah, supposing he's doing jhana, even though I suppose he's not all the time have jhana, but he must understand that. But why is like that? Because he's not Hindu, okay? Okay, now the last one, if any unwholesome thought flying around, to bring up the wholesome thought which will motivate you, you know. One wholesome thought like, you know, this is don't ignore it, it can, like, you know, you think, I'm doing very good, I can be a teacher now, very powerful. Okay, and this is an unwholesome thought. Then you need to think something else. They have to be able to learn the wholesome thought. Or, for example, like, you know, really? When I heard that person ask a question like, he's very good, but look at his face. You know, unwholesome thought, you know. But then you need to change that, okay? Don't let that start to run. Yeah, you don't believe it? See, you sit, you will know. Sometimes you will just start to think, that person, look at the way he eat, how much he eat. Okay, please know this unwholesome thought. And then you definitely need to change wholesome thought. What do you mean by wholesome thought? Think, oh, he must be very hungry. He needs energy to do meditation. Right, that's a wholesome thought, you know. It's kind of like compassion, right? So, and then, you know, maybe a thing, some people do, I mean, there was a time that people do meditation, they have this kind of thing, little thing. They talk to me also. They say, you know that person, when he walks, he don't look at me, you know, and blah, this and that. And I told them, you know, just change your way of thinking. They don't want. The important is, we are not looking for the fact now. Whether he's because does not like you, he don't look at you, or because he just didn't notice you, or because he's just too focused on his thing, you know, we don't know, right? But one thing I know for sure, when you hold some thought, you can do better meditation. That's important, right? Why you want to let your... So remember this also. When unwholesome thought comes to you, think the wholesome thought, okay? Okay, have a break, come to do meditation. Do we have a... we are not going to do in like a group, how to call, Q&A. Then I think about after we sit until 4 o'clock later, whenever come back, like after you have a break, and 4 o'clock we can have a Q&A, and then we can do a little transfer merit or meditation and transfer merit, and then we'll be end of the day. Wonderful. Okay. All right. I will see you in the after the break. You can back here, not that soon. You can back here by 5 past 3. Okay. All right. Thank you.